Hello my lovely friends, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I am going to be sharing with you my progress in this countdown to the winter solstice junk journal that I made for myself this winter. I was not feeling very Christmassy in the traditional sense this year for various reasons, so I decided to sort of test my creativity a little bit and come up with this idea of creating a journal counting down the days to the winter solstice on the 21st of December, which is the shortest day of the year, which is also the longest night of the year, and the mark of the first day of winter. And, you know, it's no surprise that my love of Halloween on some level sort of spills over into December as well. Hence my love of, you know, working with dark colors and all of that kind of thing. So this is essentially part 3 of the process of this journal. I will link the videos down below if you're curious about how I got from point A to point B. The idea with this journal is that I used gray pages to symbolize the light that, you know, on December the 10th, and we go from this gray to black to symbolize the days getting shorter and the nights getting longer, as well as creating these black pockets that slowly get taller as we move towards the 21st of December, again symbolizing that sort of equilibrium where the nights are creeping up and getting longer and longer and the days are getting shorter and shorter. And I've represented the light of the day by using these tags with candles on them. So you'll also notice that you get to see more of the candle at the beginning. And of course, as the pockets get taller and the nights get longer, there is less and less light to be seen. And, you know, it's no secret, I love the dark. I love the calm and the cool, not cool as in cold, but that calm, that sense of peace that we have when it's winter, when we're forced to slow down, when we're forced to sort of, life really changes in the wintertime, and I really, really enjoy it. And so I liked sort of representing that calm and peacefulness that comes over us with dark colors as well. Anyways, okay, that's where we are. Here comes Sophie. I think we may have a Sophie sighting today. So now, I originally had thought that when I put these tabs on, that I was just going to put the days on here. And then a very lovely viewer, here we go, here she comes, suggested that I might put words on these tabs for the days, like words that resonated or that I connected to with whatever was going on that day. And I thought about this quite a bit because she made a lot of sense. And what I had decided eventually to do was I picked 11 words that had a lot of significance to me throughout 2024. So things that I'd been thinking about, themes that I'd been thinking about, feelings, and just things that just sort of hung around me this year. Things that I thought about that I wanted to change, things about myself that I wanted to improve upon. You know, these words have a lot of significance in the sense that I've had a lot of conversations in my mind and in my other journals with myself over 2024 about how I feel about what these words mean to me. Now, Sophie, if you don't mind, can we sort of share? Do you mind scooching over a little bit? Or you can sit there. That would be good. That would be great. Okay, thank you. I would like that. Then you can help me. 11 words, 11 pockets, 11 themes. And the one thing that I think is really nice about being able to sort of put these words together in this way is that I realized how interconnected all of these words really are, how interconnected these themes are, then how interconnected these things are in my life. And as we go forward, and once, you know, as you do in December, there's a lot of reflection and a lot of thinking, and we sort of go over the year and think, how could I have done that better? How could I have done it differently? And I think these are words that I'm going to carry with me, of course, into 2025, but to help myself just grow and improve and, you know, make the changes that I want to make. So, oh, look, a pen. Sophie says, look, a pen. Yeah, so, okay, let's just get into it. Now, those of you that have watched my videos before will certainly recognize some of the images, the quotes, and the themes that I worked with in these pages. And I think that's kind of fun, because what was true in May or in the summer, obviously, is still true now. It's just that maybe I've had a little bit more time to reflect on my opinion about change. And none of us like change, but we can't avoid it either, right? Okay, so what I did was I took on the back of each of these cards, I glued some black construction paper on here, and I got this white gel pen that Sophie has been enjoying. It's a Jelly Roll 08. And so far, these pens have been the best pens that I have found outside of a white pencil crayon to write on black paper. So again, keeping with the theme of working our way to the longest night of the year, I liked the idea of writing on black paper, and the white ink is symbolically the light that I'm trying to shine on these things that I'm either struggling with, or things that I'm still confused about, or whatever it is, right? So what I decided to do was I left myself a little bit of a quote on the bottom of these cards that relates to the word. And there were these words are not in any kind of order. They're just words that I realized that had played a really strong role in some level, or on some level in my life throughout this past year. So then I went and I made notes about why this word was important, and then I left myself sort of a little Easter egg in behind the journal card here, and then here I did some journaling around, and that's kind of what I did on each page. I'm going to go quickly through and talk about these words and why they matter to me and what they mean to me. As you can see, I did, in the last video, I talked about whether or not I was going to decorate the pockets, because they looked really blank to me. And as much as I liked the idea that it was just this blank slate that just kept getting bigger and bigger, in the end, I just couldn't leave them. But I did have fun, I have to say. One of the great things about this particular experiment for me was that it really allowed me to bring out some stuff that I hadn't used in a long time, like all this black washi tape. Some of it I forgot that I had. You can see that I did a little tone-on-tone rubber stamping here, and I got out just a few, no, maybe only three rubber stamps for specific reasons. And I had fun actually doing the black ink on the black paper and sort of keeping in the theme with everything. So I did a tiny little bit of stenciling, which is not something I do very often. So that was fun. And again, using the washi tape, and I created the stickers with the numbers, and then getting out, I found some scraps of lace that I thought would look really pretty on the pages. And then just this little guy here. So it was it was a fun exercise for me in the sense that I tend to want to overdo, over-decorate. Less is not more for me. I don't know if you've noticed, but I tend to really like to really fill. So I had to show some restraint, and I had to consider how could I decorate these pages so that it still made me happy to look at them, but not to go overboard. So that was kind of a fun challenge. Okay, so the word that we're going to start with here on the 10th is compassion. And here we talk about meet me in the middle of your story when the soul is worn but wise. And why that spoke to me here with compassion was that I, like just about everybody else out there on the planet, we can have great compassion for others, but we often struggle to have compassion for ourselves, especially when we really, really need it, right? And I like the idea of, you know, it says here, meet me in the middle of your story when the soul is worn but wise. And often what happens, of course, is as we get older and we become wiser and we learn many lessons in life, we realize that compassion really is and should be a core component of the way that we treat ourselves and the way that we deal with, you know, how we navigate through life's challenges. And I think that, you know, like everybody else, it's taken me a really hard time or to go through many hard and difficult times just to understand how important compassion is. And it's not just important, but it's essential, right? Okay, and at the bottom here, it is time to unlearn. Make sure I'm in frame here. Yes. It is time to unlearn the things you've learned from wounded people. And I thought that was really fitting for compassion because, you know, it can be really hard. It's not only hard to unlearn things, but it's hard to take a step back and reassess the things that we thought to be true. And that can make us feel very vulnerable and raw because you're like, wait a minute. This isn't how, this isn't what I thought, or, you know, whatever it is that's bringing you a little bit of confusion. And I think as we unlearn the things that we've learned, that's when we really need to be compassionate with ourselves. So now on the back here, I'm not going to show you I guess this one, some of them I'm not going to show what's on the back, only because it's a little bit personal, right? But I wrote here, as we round out 2024, these are the words that seem to pop up regularly, themes and ideas and feelings that want to be seen and heard. As I sit with the dark, quiet time of winter, I feel that I can no longer ignore what wants my attention. It's time. I've only paid lip service to some of these words, and now they are some of the most important tools that I will take with me into the next year. And so I just basically wrote, these are the words that truly matter and need to have priority going forward. Compassion, breath, calm, flow, grieve, curious, magic. Be compassionate to you, make room for serendipity, comfort, release, strong, alchemy, make and create without reason or proof. So that was just me sort of setting up the idea of where this journal was going. Because when I go back and look at this later, I think it'll be fun to sort of look at where I was, as it always is with our journals, and then see how far you've come. Okay, and as you guys know, I regularly talk about my struggle to do deep belly breathing and to really remember to breathe, and how I found that doing breathing exercises and paying attention to my breath and not holding my breath in times of great difficulty has been a real eye-opener for me this year. And in my one journal, I had this image of a hippo, And how cute is she? And this is how I feel when I belly breathe. Like, I feel like my tummy just sticks way out. So anyways, and I put here, I've mastered the art of bouncing back, because I do feel that even the small amount of breath work that I have engaged in has made a huge difference to my ability to be resilient. Especially when I get myself all wound up about certain things, you know, when you start what-ifing and shoulda, coulda, woulda. And I do find that if I just stop and take like 4 deep breaths, it is such a great, it sounds cliche, but it's like a reset, right? Anyways, so, and be tied into breath work, your body hears everything that your mind says. Which is kind of unfortunate for my body. Let me tell you, right? Okay, so then I talk on the back here about how I've been holding my breath for most of my life. Or at least that's how it feels. Exhale, it's okay and safe to release. The worst is not going to happen. Finally, this year, you have seen the benefits of breathing deeply and just how easily your body responds. Part of the key to what you are seeking is in your breath. Make more time to breathe and be aware. And it's, you know, I thought about breathing a lot, but until I actually started to engage in it, I was like, ooh, this works, right? Now, alchemy. Alchemy, I think, might be my word for 2025. I like the idea of taking 2 things that aren't supposed to really go together and putting them together, and with my own intention and creativity and whatever word you want to put in there, somehow I'm able to create something else. And I'm very intrigued by this, and it sounds like a lot of fun. So, alchemy, the process of taking something ordinary and turning it into something extraordinary, sometimes in a way that cannot be explained. I love that. I love that. And I think that sounds like a lot of fun for 2025. So then I've got this old crone here, and I wrote, actively make room for the unknown. Let go, release, and be open. Be curious, test and try, and see what happens. And so for me, this whole idea of letting go and not having to have all the answers, is, all of these words, all of these are connected together, right? Flow, calm, release, strong, alchemy, right? Like, in order for me to practice some sort of alchemy in my life, I have to be open to letting go and letting things flow, and maybe dealing with some of my control issues, right? So I wrote on the back something around mixing things that normally do not go together, but to create something interesting, and creating without having to have all the answers. Exploring and seeking, mix and matching, and to basically be brave with my creativity. Stop trying to control so rigidly, let go and see what happens. We'll see how it goes. Here we have strong. And I haven't done all of the journaling around these images yet, but I picked this image of this most adorable little seal standing there in the water, and I picked her because I wanted something that was representative of being strong, physically strong as well as mentally strong, but not necessarily looking like on the outside what strong typically looks like. And so, seals are big and round and fat and cute and slippery, and they don't look like necessarily that they should be incredibly strong, but they are. They can swim for incredible distances. They can handle an enormous amount of cold water, and they glide and they flow and they move. And so when I was trying to come up with a representation of strong, and I saw this image, I was like, this is perfect. This really represents, because on some level, I myself am a little bit round, and yet I am strong. And going forward into the new year, I have also made the decision that I'm going to work on actively making my body stronger. I'm not going to look like what I looked like 20 years ago, 10 years ago. My body's changing, which is another conversation. But I decided that the exercise and the things that I'm going to do going forward are going to be about making myself stronger, and not just wishing that I was that tiny 20-year-old that I'm never going to be again, right? So I love the seal for that. I just think she epitomizes what I think right now physical strength and where I am in my life is going to look like. So now here we put, I put progress, not perfection. And then I found this Gloria Steinem quote: each individual woman's body demands to be accepted on its own terms. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant, right? That's so bang on for, you know, where I am in my journey physically, right? And then on the back, I just made note to remind myself, you're not too busy to take care of your body. The timing now is key. Walk, stretch, lift to be strong, show your body love, and speak kindly to yourself. I'm not supposed to look like I did before. And basically to make time in my day for physical strength. And again, it doesn't have to be, you know, I'm not going to the gym and running all kinds of laps and stuff. It's just about taking better care of myself. Okay, now release. Healing is the end of conflict with yourself. Well, amen to that, sister. Amen to that. And then here with this candle we have, when you're in a dark place, you sometimes tend to think you've been buried. Perhaps you've been planted. Bloom. And this is one of my all-time favorite quotes. And to me, this really represents the idea of releasing. Like, just let go and see what happens, right? Like, I don't need to have, as much as I want to have all the answers. I don't need to. I want to. But this really speaks to me. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you tend to think you've been buried, but perhaps you've been planted. And I was like, yeah, like just because things aren't great, or, you know, it doesn't mean that it's all doom and gloom. And sometimes if we just let go of expectations, or if we just let go of our own assumptions, or we let go of certain perspectives, that's where the magic happens. The magic, right? And then on the back here, I just wrote, let go and have some faith in yourself. It's time to release the old ideas and old beliefs and the things that I thought to be true. Even more important, what I wanted to be true. Release what I have clung to for so long that will not happen or that is not helpful. And most importantly, release what is not healthy. You know, emotionally, mentally, just, I know, easier said than done. Like, don't get me wrong, but release is something I definitely need to work on. Okay, now with release comes comfort. And healing is an art. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes love. This is another one of my favorite quotes, because I really think that if we recognize our healing, that it is an art form, that it does take time. And, you know, what's that? It's that proverb, fall 7, get up 8 times. you know, that kind of thing. And then, of course, comfort. I just couldn't resist sort of a little girl with her teddy bear, because on some level, we are all still that little girl who will find great comfort in hugging her teddy bear. You know, and it's also a metaphor for self-love and being kind to yourself and hugging yourself, so to speak. The healing power of hugging, all of that kind of thing, right? And then on the back here, I wrote, you do not have to be in pain. You can be compassionate to yourself in a way that will provide great relief. It's okay to indulge in comfort. It's okay to seek out and desire comfort. Look for new ways to bring comfort to yourself in 2025. And when you spiral, instead of going into that dark place, reach for comfort and allow the love to help to bring comfort, right? I have to say that this turned out way, on so many levels, way better than I anticipated. And I really did enjoy sitting down and actually thinking with myself about what these words and what these ideas mean to me, and reflect about especially all the messages that I tend to tell myself on a day-to-day basis, and how I can actually change that. Okay, so obviously magic, you know, when you say that's where the magic happens, well, it's amazing that when you let go and you release and you sort of put down what is no longer yours to carry, that is where the magic happens, because all of a sudden things start to shift, your perspective shifts, and it feels like magic, right? Now, I thought it was really apropos to put here that with magic, play is the highest form of research. I love that. Play was my word of the year maybe about 4 years ago, and I didn't play as much as I thought I would. Again, I don't know why I make these things so difficult on myself. But anyways, that's a conversation for another day. But play, once you play and you sort of release yourself, it's you know, your ideas change, you brainstorm differently, like you come up with great ways of solving problems. Like, play is really important, and that's part and parcel of why I really am such a big fan of journals and junk journaling, because it's a way that we indulge not only our creativity, but we are actually playing with supplies, playing with paper, playing. And again, once you're playing in your journal and you sort of give yourself this permission to just go ahead and have fun, that's where the magic happens, right? And then here I love this. Curiosity is a willing, a proud, and eager confession of ignorance. And I was like, oh. I read that a few times and I was like, wow, that's so right. None of us want to come across as being ignorant or not knowing. But if you allow curiosity, which again is here, you know, and this confession of ignorance can be very, can happen very easily in play. Anyways, I was like, ooh, the synchronicity here is amazing. And then with magic, I love this. Shit's about to get fancy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And so what did I write here? If you try and control everything by never making a mistake, there's no room for magic to happen. If you try to always have all the answers, there is no magic. If you never take a chance or do things differently, there's no room for magic. If you are too rigid, there is no synchronicity or serendipity. Engage in letting go. Well, we'll see. I mean, in the sense that, you know, again, I like most people, should, you know, control issues of some kind, right? And the idea too that as, you know, as our days get shorter and the nights get longer and we are sort of forced to slow down, we're sort of forced to sort of maybe stay at home a little bit more, spend some more time in our journals so we're not distracted by gardens and outdoor activities and all that kind of thing. This also was a fun exercise because it allowed me to really to go into those places and think about the things that could really bring me comfort and bring me release and relief, and just think about these things for the sake of thinking about them, as opposed to overthinking, which is another big favorite trick of mine, right? If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Because as we slow down and indulge in these, in our sort of more relaxation, and give ourselves time to just be still and to just assess and reassess and think, again, that's where the magic happens. That's where things come up. That's where you have these revelations and aha moments where you're like, God, that's what I need. That's how I feel. I didn't know that was the word for it, right? Okay, flow, and you guys know that I love to represent flow by fishes flowing through the water, right? And here I wrote, sometimes you need to let go and see what happens. And I'm like, amen to that, sister. Amen to that. And I do struggle with flow because I can be quite rigid. And there is part of me that it's the unknown, right? You're like, well, what if I don't have all the answers? Or what if I don't know? I mean, some people really like that. I find that a little bit intimidating, if I'm honest. Okay, so then I wrote just basically here about it's scary when you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but flow is available. Fear of being comfortable stands in my way, as well as making mistakes and failing. It's time to try and see what happens if you move more into the flow. Stop, breathe, and rethink. Ask yourself, what's up? Can you change your perspective and be more curious? And again, so the flow ties in with the comfort. It ties into release. Flow usually with breath work, and then obviously curious coming up here. So, and again, you can see that as the days are getting shorter, our ability to see the light is becoming less and less. And quite honestly, sometimes some of our best moments or some of our best revelations come from some of the darkest times, sadly enough, right? Some of our most difficult but most worthwhile lessons have happened during what can only be described dark and difficult days. Calm. Your mind will answer most questions if you learn to relax and wait for the answer. William S. Burroughs. I was like, oh, oh, got it. Okay. And then I didn't really have any room. I might try and find something to go up there, but yeah. And then here I wrote, despite what I think, I can be calm. It's now essential to my well-being, especially as I get older. It's all linked. The breath, the flow, the release, and the comfort all comes with being calm. Chaotic and frantic isn't working for me any longer, and it's not making me feel good, and it's harming my well-being. There is room to be calm. I can be calm, and there can be relief and comfort in calm. And so, yeah. And so I thought calm was quite fitting here, where we've got Mother Mary and her sort of sense of peace and the stars around her and this dark night, right? And the sort of calm that she represents. Sorry, there's cat hair, of course, over everything. Okay. Now, the last two. Curious, and I do love me some black flowers, I have to admit. And I thought the black flowers would bring sort of a nice, softer, sort of rounder feeling. Sometimes dark can feel kind of sharp, and it's very disorienting to be in the dark, to be in complete darkness, right? And so I thought the flowers were a nice symbol of bringing some comfort and some more feminine, receptive energy to what can otherwise be a bit intimidating, right? Okay, curious, and you guys have heard me say this a million times, less furious, more curious. This was my mantra for most of 2024, and it will continue into 2025 as well. This whole idea of being less furious and more curious has got me through some of the most difficult times that I've had this year, and has certainly offered a perspective that I didn't think would be as profound as it has been, but it has been, let me tell you. And I love this, blessed are the curious, for they shall have adventures. And this really struck me because I thought, you know, I spend a lot of time essentially thinking about what I don't want to do. And so I thought, you know, maybe 2025, I could stand to be a little bit more curious and a little bit more adventurous. And again, going back to this whole idea of I don't have to have all the answers in order for things to feel good or to be fun, right? So I talk here about how I've stayed safe for a long time. You don't have to take great risks, but it's important that I get out more and explore, seek, look, and be okay with not knowing. Baby steps. Go out there and see what you can find. Never stop being curious. I was like, yeah, what am I, you know, I don't know. Sometimes being in my brain, it's not fun. And then the last one is grieve. And I know that for some people that might seem a little bit dark and ominous and heavy. But I've chosen to use the word grieve because it's another way of me sort of giving myself permission to let go, and to let go of certain people, places, and things, and situations, and thoughts. And I think that by grieving the loss of things that we thought were going to happen that didn't happen is a really great way to open up and make room for the things that we want to have happen for us in a new year. It opens up time and space and gives ourselves room to let go and to truly just make peace with what can't be, won't be, you know, and to give yourself the time and space that you need to allow yourself to evolve and change. Two things going on here. On December the 20th, 3 years ago, we said goodbye to our beautiful, beautiful, my warrior princess, Stella. And I think about Stella a lot for obvious reasons. But she's a very good reminder of, even though we had 15 years together, it didn't seem like enough. And it's a nice, it's a good reminder for me to hug more often, tell people that you love them. You know, we don't really know what the future holds. And to really spend your time with the people who love you, and to surround yourself with people who are good for you. You know what I mean? And so when I look at Stella and I think about how much I miss her, and I'm, you know, I'm saddened by the fact that she's no longer with us, but I got to hug her and kiss her for 15 years, and she was a great little friend, and we had a lot of fun together. And through the grieving process, I was not only able to let go and also make room for Sophie and Lucy to come into our lives as well, right? And the other part of grief is that I love this quote again. I sat with my anger long enough until she told me her real name was grief. And I found this quote, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, and I regularly put it in my journal because it resonates with me on such an epic level. And so much of what we think is anger really is grief, because we feel let down, or we feel lost, or we feel abandoned, or we feel something where it feels like anger, but in truth, it's about the fact that things didn't go the way that we really, really, really wanted them to go. And in order to get from point A to point B, we have to grieve those things and you know, accept the fact that it's okay. It's okay. Because when one door closes, another door opens, right? So on the back of this, I just write about the kind of grief that I had avoided most of my life because it hurt and I didn't want to feel it. I confused my grief for angry feelings and thoughts, but now I see it and I feel it. I've looked for acceptance in all the wrong places, and I made mistakes that I have to come to terms with, but they do not define me. They are not who I am. I understand now, and basically 2025 is a time to forgive myself for making mistakes, to grieve those mistakes, to let go of the things that I thought would happen that didn't happen, and to just, you know, put it in the past and move forward and be like, okay. You know, sometimes one of the most powerful phrases I think we can say to ourselves is, it's okay. And you just try and move forward the best way you can, right? So that's it, everybody. I sound like a bit of a broken record, but I really, really enjoyed this. And I enjoyed this in ways that I was not anticipating at all. So the moral of the story of my countdown to the winter solstice journal is to try things that you think that, you know, just to try new things, because you never know how much joy and creativity you're going to get out of, you know, breaking out of a rut. You know, one of the most powerful aspects about journaling is that it's just for you. You don't have to explain anything to anybody. You don't have to argue with anybody. You just go ahead and do what lights you up, what makes you happy, what really fulfills that creative itch in you that you need to scratch. Great. Now, what am I going to do this way? I don't know. I have been thinking a little bit about it. How I want to take all of these messages that I've written to myself and all of the symbolism and things that I've put together. I'm not sure exactly how I don't know. Like I said, I want to give myself a few days to sort of sit with what I've done here and see what pops up in my brain going forward. That's, my friends, is where the alchemy is going to come into, right? It's taking something and then another thing, and I don't even know what that is yet, and putting them together, and the magic should happen. Anyhow, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very, very much for spending this time with me and hanging out with me and listening to me ramble on. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the description box down below. I love, love, love hearing your input. I love hearing your stories. I love you sharing with me. I read everything that you write. And if you have a word for 2025, I would love to hear what you might be considering as well. So please tell me that too. Okay, if you like this video, please give it a little thumbs up. And as I say at the end of all my videos, speak kindly to yourself. And if you find that maybe you're not speaking very kindly to yourself, challenge that a little bit. Take good care and enjoy your journal process. Until the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye.